Have you ever vacuum sealed something and then realized later, ugh, that was a big mistake? We are finally getting some much needed rain. It's also pretty cold out here. That makes it a good day to focus on stocking up your pantry. Hello everybody, this is Deb from Just Do Something Homestead. And if you have watched my channel for a while, you know that I love to teach others how to vacuum seal. Not only do we homestead in West Virginia, we raise a lot of our foods. I can freeze, dehydrate, but we also purchase foods, and those foods I vacuum seal. Today, we're going to talk about 4 of the biggest vacuum sealing mistakes that I have personally made. And if you are brand new to our channel, I want to be the first to welcome you. This weekend, we hit 17,000 subscribers. And I encourage you to stick along to the end of this video. Not only are we going to talk about the mistakes of vacuum sealing, but I'm going to show you step by step how to vacuum seal rice. Usually, I only show you the successes of vacuum sealing. Today, I'm going to show you all of these foods right here. Each one of these is a mistake. Mistake number 1, vacuum sealing foods that are either high in oils or high in moisture. Any idea what this is? Let me give you a hint. It is not supposed to be speckled. These are chocolate covered almonds, and no, chocolate covered almonds should not be vacuum sealed. I sealed these back in 2022, and almost immediately the color started to change. That's because almonds are very high in oil and it became rancid. Then it seeped outside to the chocolate, which originally was a dark chocolate brown like a Hershey Kiss. And this is what I'm left with, very stale, rancid, chocolate covered almonds. This is another item from 2022, and again, it is something that should have never been vacuum sealed. This is craisins. Craisins are dried cranberries, but the problem is they're still pliable, which means there's too much moisture in them. When you vacuum seal something like craisins or raisins, the moisture inside can grow bacteria, so it is suggested that you never vacuum seal anything that's high in moisture content. So unfortunately, both of these items are going to have to be tossed out. And if you know anything about me, I hate wasting money. The number 2 mistake in vacuum sealing is simple, not rotating your stock. Both of these jars are cereal, and because it's a mixed ingredient item, they don't last especially long. I can get them for about 2 years. After that, some of the items start to get stale. And so this maple granola is good until 2025. That's what BB means, Best Buy. But this one right here, organic vanilla blueberry granola 2022. That must have been a bad year for me. Either way, this one ended up getting pushed back into the back of the pantry, and I missed it. And now if I was to open this, it's not going to taste that good. I recommend going through your stock at least every 3 months, 6 months at the bare minimum, moving the current newest product that you have to the back and moving the older stuff to the front. This seems to be a bigger challenge if you have a variety of cereals. This is another one that got moved to the back and we missed it. And honestly, it just doesn't look as good as this one. And so we are tempted to grab that one and say, well, next time I'll go with the older one. Don't worry, if it's a little stale, I'll still eat it. It is to the point where it's starting to become rancid, then unfortunately it is more money that we have lost. Mistake number 3, not removing the air from pre-packaged food items. I was several years into my vacuum sealing journey when a friend pulled me aside and said, you know what, Deb? You're not achieving what you think you are when you vacuum seal a jar of sealed items. And honestly, I had no idea what she was even talking about. It turns out that little items like these crackers are not vacuum sealed into the package. They are simply sealed in a package and there's air still in them. And when I take these items and put them in a jar and then remove the air by vacuum sealing, all I'm actually doing is removing the air around the package. I'm not removing the air in the package. So in reality, the only way to see if these crackers are not stale is to open it up and try one. Well, they're still crunchy, but no, they are not as good as they should be. Here's another example. I used to take these boxes or pouches of these convenience noodles and sauces. And what I didn't do is I didn't poke a hole in that flavoring mix that's in there. So at this point, it's probably very stale. Now, the good news is the pasta in this jar itself is fine. And lastly, here's an example that's probably even worse. Not only are they prepackaged, but these are nuts, and we know that nuts go rancid. So let's open it up and see how bad it is. I don't need to try these nuts. When I opened the package, you could smell that the entire thing was rancid. So how can you vacuum seal pre-packaged items? It's super easy. All you need is a paper punch. And what I did on like these candy bars is I poked a hole in every single package and then I vacuum sealed it. Now you still have to remember that chocolate and mixed ingredients are not going to last a decade, but you're going to add at least a year to these Twix bars that I got last year. Number 4, vacuum sealing foods that we're never even going to eat. Unfortunately, this one I have done many, many times, and it typically happens because I got a really good deal on something. And so I'm like, well, I'll buy a lot of them and vacuum seal them. This is mac and cheese seasoning. Why in the world do I even need mac and cheese seasoning? I make my own. But before we moved to West Virginia, I lived near a food outlet, and sometimes those prices were so low, I couldn't resist. Here's another one that we simply are never going to eat. These are organic cheese puffs that I got last year, and to be honest, we didn't like them then. So what did I do? I vacuum seal them so they wouldn't become stale. So again, it was a waste of money. Unfortunately, all of these foods that you see were a wasted effort. And when you're trying so hard to save money and stock up as fast as you can, you don't want to be bogged down with foods you're never going to eat. A big problem that I am now facing is having enough room to store all of this. And so I don't want anything hogging up a shelf that could be used for something else. Over the last few years, I've started making the switch to only whole ingredients. That's because whole ingredients such as oatmeal or rice or beans only have one ingredient in them, and because of that, they will store far longer. So in case you have never vacuum sealed before, we're going to go over the steps really quick, and you will find that you love vacuum sealing. I find that it's one of the fastest ways to fill your pantry when you don't have a lot of time to do it. If you have never vacuum sealed before, here are a few things that you're going to need to get started. The first thing you need when you want to vacuum seal is a quality vacuum sealer. This is my favorite. This is the Food Saver FM5200. And no matter which one you purchase, make sure that it has a port so you can vacuum seal into jars. Next, you're going to need jars. Now, today I'm going to be using a quart jar because I only have one bag of rice. Typically, I do use the half-gallon size because they fit better on my shelf and they hold more than a quart. I recommend washing them with hot, soapy water the day before and letting it completely air dry. You don't want any moisture in this jar. That is the number one enemy of vacuum sealing. The next 3 things that you're going to need is the attachments. Now, I had to purchase these separately. This is what goes on top of your jar. You're also going to need some lids or flats and the rings. Now, as far as lids, they come in regular mouth or wide mouth, and the same with the rings. And the last item that I use is a wide mouth funnel, especially when I'm doing something like rice so I don't get it all over my countertop. First step is to fill your jar. Once your jar is filled, you're going to want to thump it around so it settles and you can put more of your rice into it. I try to fill it up to this line. Then wipe the rim of this jar with your clean fingers and put your flat on top. Now, did you know you can use either a brand new one like this or you can use a used one over and over again. As long as it seals, it is good. Place the attachment over the lid and push until it pops, like that. Next, I plug in the port. And again, you want to push it down all the way. Turn on the power and hit accessory. My food saver shuts off automatically when it is sealed, and then you remove the port. That's a good sign when you hear that release of air, and take off the jar sealer attachment. To check the seal, you're going to try to pull that lid off with your fingertips. Another sign is that the center is sunk in. I use a Sharpie to write on all my lids, and I added 5 years to best by date. I am often asked, how long will your stored or vacuum sealed foods last? That is completely determined on how it is stored. For the longest storage times, you want to put the ring on it and then store it in complete darkness in a cool location. Since my pantry is climate controlled and it is completely in the dark, I will probably at least get a decade from this, but that just gives me a starting place of at least 5 years. Today's goal was to help you to not make the mistakes that I've made in the past, because at this point, we really don't have time or money to spare. I encourage you to stock up as quickly as you can in the next few months. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Have a blessed day, everybody. Bye-bye.